The moment the exclusive photos leaked, the internet exploded in disbelief. Heat rises when Rasheeda's raw voice echoes across social media. "You picked her over me." Overnight, devoted fans are shocked to see cracks in Kirk Frost's picture-perfect life. Emotions ran high as rumors swirled, questioning loyalties and unearthing a secret none saw coming. In a family already tested by fame and friction, these bombshell allegations have ignited a wildfire of speculation. Could the woman Kirk supposedly plan to start a family with truly have his heart? As messages flooding timelines reveal, the family was left divided, friends choosing sides, insiders trading whispered confessions, and fans scrambling to piece together the truth. Amid the chaos, a lone photo of Kirk holding a mystery baby serves as a haunting symbol of betrayal. Each new detail fans uncover seems more explosive than the last, leaving everyone breathless. With every comment section ablaze and supporters rallying behind Rasheeda's heartbreak, this overnight scandal has become the talk of every corner of reality TV fandom. Brace yourself, because what unfolds next will defy expectations and keep you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned for an inside look at every shocking twist as Rasheeda's world collides with Kirk's hidden secrets. The tension reached a fever pitch as Kirk hovered at the edge of the grand marble foyer, the chandeliers casting fractured light across his weary face. Rasheeda's absence was deafening, her perfume lingering like a ghost in the air. Kirk ran a trembling hand through his hair, instincts screaming that every ticking second drove another nail into the coffin of their marriage. He cradled his phone like a lifeline, scrolling through messages from mutual friends offering support, but none bearing solutions. Inside, he felt the walls closing in, suffocated by his own secrets. A soft click heralded Rasheeda's entrance. She moved with quiet grace, cloak of dignity wrapped tightly around her. Kirk's breath hitched as she paused, surveying the room with steely resolve. Without a word, she strode past him, her heels echoing in the silence. Kirk swallowed the lump in his throat and followed, each step fueled by desperation. The mahogany paneled living room welcomed them both, but the warmth had vanished. Two glasses lay abandoned on the coffee table, their contents dried into sticky rings. "You lied," Rasheeda said, voice brittle as shattered glass. Kirk's throat constricted. He longed to reach out, to bridge the yawning chasm between them, but she looked away, eyes fixed on the framed wedding portrait. The image of happier times felt like a betrayal now, mocking them from its perch. Lowered himself onto the velvet settee, head in hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." Rasheeda's expression hardened. "Sorry isn't enough," she replied, shoulders trembling. "You built another life behind my back? You've picked her over me." Kirk's chest constricted at the memory of their midnight argument, the one that had driven him into the arms of someone who promised secrets kept. He had sworn he'd end it, but each farewell became harder, guilt blurring his judgment. Confronted by Rasheeda's sorrow, he knew he had reached a point of no return. Outside, photographers pressed lenses against the glass, desperate for a glimpse of their unraveling union. Flashes illuminated through heavy drapes, creating strobe-like agony in Kirk's memory. Each burst of light echoed Rasheeda's heartbreak, flickering across the mosaic floor like shattered dreams. Kirk imagined the headlines. Kirk Frost's double life exposed. Rasheeda betrayed by husband's secret baby. Fans outraged at celebrity scandal. His chest tightened at the thought of public scrutiny ripping apart the fragments of privacy he had left. In the kitchen, a forgotten coffee cup stained the granite countertop. Kirk remembered mornings when they laughed together over cups, just like this, planning vacations, dreaming of growing old side by side. He reached out, fingers brushing the chipped porcelain, longing for the innocence of those simpler days. But the ripple of betrayal spread too widely. The past was beyond reclamation. Rasheeda stood in the doorway, silhouette framed by sunlight, the golden glow twisting her into a goddess of vengeance and pain. Kirk rose, guilt coursing through his veins. "Tell me everything," she demanded. Kirk hesitated. Recounting the clandestine meetings with the other woman felt like tearing open fresh wounds. Yet, he owed Rasheeda the truth, however brutal. He described dimly lit parking garages, quick embraces in empty hallways, hushed conversations that should never have existed. Each confession landed like a hammer blow. Rasheeda's eyes glistened with unshed tears, cheeks hollowed by sleepless nights. When Kirk finished, the room held its breath. Rasheeda's silence was thunderous. Finally, she spoke, voice soft but unyielding. "I don't know who you are anymore." Kirk blinked, the weight of her words dragging him down. He tried to summon apology, justification, anything to salvage what remained, but his voice failed. Outside, the distant wail of sirens reminded him that life was moving on without mercy. Suddenly, the quiet shattered. A barrage of text alerts snapped Kirk's gaze to his phone. Fans had unearthed a grainy video of him with a mystery woman, her belly curved with unmistakable life. The world watched him cradle a tiny bundle wrapped in soft pastel blankets. Kirk's stomach twisted as Rasheeda read the caption aloud, voice echoing in the hollow room. "New life, new priorities." The words cut deeper than any blade. Rasheeda's sob broke the tension, raw and ragged. Kirk crossed the distance, sinking to his knees beside her. He reached for her hand, skin cool beneath his trembling fingers. She jerked away, anger sparking. Behind her tears, Kirk felt the ground collapse under him. This was no longer a private hell. It was a spectacle played out on every screen, dissected by millions who cherished his downfall. In the days that followed, allies scattered like frightened birds. Yandi, once Kirk's closest friend, posted an ambiguous statement: "Family first, always." Fans speculated if the post was a subtle jab at Kirk's indiscretions or a shield for Rasheeda. Scrappy, unable to reconcile his loyalty to both, disappeared from social media, fueling rumors he'd sided with the wrong person. The whispers grew louder, shaping the narrative. Kirk Frost, once idolized, now reviled. Rasheed are retreated into solitude, granting no interviews, offering no statements. In her absence, Kirk was left to navigate a maelstrom of guilt and regret. He attended meetings with PR strategists, but words felt hollow, rehearsed. Apologies penned behind closed doors failed to quell the fire fans had stoked. Nulika. Text message, a secret location. A heartfelt letter to the unborn child added to his torment. One evening, Kirk arrived at a charity gala alone, the chandeliers glittering above faces he barely recognized. The room buzzed with polite conversation, but Kirk sensed every hush and sideways glance. Cameras flashed as he moved through the crowd, forced smiles plastered across his face. He spotted Rasheeda's close circle gathered in a corner. There, backs turned. Guilt washed over him like a tidal wave. He considered fleeing, but honor pulled him forward. He approached their circle. Voice low, "I'm ready to talk when you are." A hush fell. Eyes lifted, scanning his face, some curious, others cold. One friend shook her head, mouth pressed into a thin line. Another whispered to a companion, laughter laced with bitter amusement. Kirk felt exposed, every fault magnified. The charity event's benevolent facade slipped away, revealing the stark reality. His world had changed irrevocably. That night, Kirk returned to an empty home, the silence unfamiliar and unforgiving. He wandered from room to room, seeking comfort in places once shared. Rasheeda's scent still clung to the pillows, a cruel reminder of warmth now gone. Kirk sank to the floor in the nursery, walls painted in soft hues for a child he would scarcely know. Tears blurred his vision as he placed a hand on the empty cradle, imagining the life growing beyond his grasp. With each passing hour, the magnitude of his choices weighed heavier. He thought of the unborn child, innocent witness to his deception. He thought of Rasheeda, heart shattered by the man she trusted most. And he thought of the fans, who watched every misstep, every confession, and judged without mercy. Amidst the ruins of his own making, Kirk realized that redemption might be a distant sure one. He had no guarantee of ever reaching yet. In the darkness of that lonely night, a flicker of determination sparked within him. He would no longer hide. He would confront the fallout, own every mistake, and fight for the child, for Rasheeda, for whatever fragments of his life remained. Outside, the world waited, hungry for the next chapter in this sensational saga. Inside, Kirk vowed to face the storm he had unleashed, whatever the cost. Kirk pressed his palms against the cool nursery wall, breathing in the faint scent of fresh paint and baby powder. Steeling himself for the next phase of his self-inflicted ordeal, dawn light slanted through half-closed blinds, painting stripes across the hardwood floor where he knelt. Each shaft of light felt like a spotlight on his remorse. Determination burned beneath his chest. He owed it to every person hurt by his deception to face them without pretense. Slipping from the room, he found himself standing in front of a mirror in the master's suite, staring at the hollow eyes of a man who had traded truth for secrecy. With a trembling exhale, he resolved to reach out to Rasheeda's closest friends, to open lines of communication he had long avoided. First, he dialed Yandi's number, heart pounding with a hope that had all but died. Moments later, her weary voice answered. "Kirk," she said, tone wary. He offered a raw apology, voice cracking under the weight of regret, confessing that hiding the pregnancy was cowardice, not protection. He promised transparency moving forward. Yandi paused, silence stretching before she spoke. "If you want to rebuild trust, words won't suffice. Actions will." Kirk nodded to himself as if she could see, committing to demonstrate his sincerity. Next, he drafted a message to Scrappy. Acknowledging the confusion, he must feel caught between loyalty to Kirk and solidarity with Rasheeda. He admitted that his silence only fueled speculation. Scrappy responded with guarded forgiveness, warning Kirk that any false move would cement his exile. Each frank exchange chipped away at Kirk's pride, replacing arrogance with humility. By late afternoon, Kirk felt a fragile hope take root. Perhaps, just perhaps, honesty could mend what lies had shattered that evening. Kirk requested a private meeting with Rasheeda's sister, hoping to leverage family ties where his own influence failed. He found her in a sunlit courtyard, sipping tea as birds sang overhead. She offered a cool smile, one eyebrow arched in cautious curiosity. Kirk spoke of his love for Rasheeda, of regret that his fear of conflict had driven him into secrecy. He begged her to share with Rasheeda the sincerity of his remorse. The sister agreed reluctantly, promising not to gloss over his failings. Through her eyes, Kirk glimpsed the shards of trust he'd splintered and understood the enormous task ahead. Meanwhile, Rasheeda wrestled with her own storm of emotion, sequestered in a family friend's guest house overlooking the ocean. She paced wooden floors, replaying Kirk's confessions in her mind. Every memory of laughter and tenderness was now laced with betrayal. The surf's rhythmic crash offered no comfort. It seemed to mock her turmoil with its relentless consistency. She spoke to close confidants in the group chat, each message a mix of anger, hurt, and cautious curiosity about Kirk's newfound transparency. "I feel so lost," she typed to one friend. "How do I believe someone who shattered my world?" Replies flooded in, some urging her to give Kirk a chance, others insisting that this might be the breaking point. Late that night, Kirk arrived at the guest house unannounced, trembling beneath his own resolve. Rasheeda stepped onto the veranda, sea breeze lifting her hair. Kirk's breath caught as he approached, each silent step weighted by regret. She did not speak at first. Her arms remained folded, eyes downcast. Kirk offered a bouquet of gardenias, her favorite tanned. The scent seemed to stir something tender in her chest. "I know saying sorry isn't enough," he whispered, avoiding her gaze. "But I'm here, fully exposed, willing to endure every consequence for a chance to make this right." Rasheeda looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. Kirk continued, voice steadying, "If you need time, I'll wait. If you need space, I'll give it. Just tell me what you need." She exhaled slowly, the tension in her shoulders easing infinitesimally. After a long pause, she said, "Show me you're serious." Kirk nodded, relief flooding his veins. He promised to surrender his phone, share every message, invite third-party oversight, whatever it took to prove his commitment. Rasheeda's lips quivered in what might have been the faintest hint of a smile. They stood in silence as moonlight and jasmine fragrance mingled around them. For the first time since the scandal erupted, Kirk felt threads of connection weaving. Back together, fragile yet real. Over the next week, Kirk followed through on each vow. He attended couples therapy with Rasheeda's therapist, bearing his soul in sessions that left him drained but hopeful. He surrendered his phone to a trusted, mutual friend, allowing Rasheeda to review every contact and conversation. Joint statements replaced solo press releases. Kirk publicly acknowledged his mistakes, offered his genuine apologies, and expressed his unwavering love for Rasheeda and their children. Rasheeda sat beside him at each appearance, arms linked, a united front forged by pain and perseverance rather than pretense. Fans watched with rapt attention as the saga shifted tone. Some remained skeptical, demanding proof beyond words. Social media buzzed. Are they really reconciling? Feels orchestrated. Leaked videos showed Kirk and Rasheeda walking hand in hand along a lakeside path, heads bowed in deep conversation. The images sparked debate. Genuine reunion or damage control? Emotions ran high as supporters rallied behind Rasheeda's bravery in confronting Kirk's betrayal head-on, while critics accused her of weakness for granting him a second chance. Inside the Frost household, tension eased into cautious optimism. Kirk rose early to help with the children's breakfast, smiling nervously as Rasheeda observed. He apologized for missing last week's school assembly to attend PR meetings. Rasheeda thanked him quietly, touch gentle as she accepted his apology. Together, they reminisced about first dates and early dreams, small moments that felt revolutionary amid the chaos of scandal. Each shared laugh felt like reclaiming a piece of their past, yet beneath the surface, doubts lingered, Rasheeda confided. In her journal, that forgiveness felt like walking across hot coals. Every step forward carried the risk of scorching betrayal. Kirk, too, lay awake at night, haunted by guilt, fearful that any misstep would plunge them back into the abyss. They both knew that healing would be neither swift nor simple, but with sincere effort. They imagined a future where trust could be rebuilt. Outside pressures intensified when the mystery woman surfaced on a podcast. Her voice soft but determined. As she confirmed Kirk's paternity, she spoke of wanting support, not drama, and pleaded with fans to allow the child a normal life. The revelation shifted public sentiments. Some directed anger at Kirk for dragging the mother into the spotlight, while others admired his effort to protect her identity. Rasheeda listened to the interview with a mix of emotions: empathy for the mother's courage, resentment for her own exclusion, and a grudging respect for the way the woman handled the spotlight. In response, Kirk issued a heartfelt statement, praising the mother's bravery and emphasizing his responsibility to both families. He arranged private, financial, and emotional support for her and the child, determined to do right by all involved. Rasheeda stood by him at a press conference, her voice steady as she affirmed her decision to work through the pain. "Our family dynamic has changed," she said, "but we choose honesty and healing over denial." As days turned into weeks, the tide of public opinion began to ebb and flow unpredictably. Podcast hosts, influencers, and fans dissected every move, every interaction. Some nights, Kirk and Rasheeda found themselves binge-watching reaction videos, wincing at criticism, celebrating moments of support. They learned to filter the noise, focusing instead on quiet moments in their home, reading bedtime stories, laughing over inside jokes, rediscovering the foundation that once united them. And yet, the road ahead remained steep. Friends cautioned Rasheeda to hold firm to boundaries to ensure that Kirk's promises translated into lasting change. Kirk, aware of the fragility of forgiveness, dedicated himself to small acts of kindness, leaving notes for Rasheeda to find, offering to handle household chores, seeking counsel whenever doubt crept in. With each day, they edged closer to reclaiming the life they had nearly lost. Through it all, one truth endured. The scandal's fallout had forever altered their story. Secrets had been exposed, trust had been tested, and the world had watched every step. But in the crucible of betrayal and confession, Kirk and Rasheeda discovered a certain resilience. Whether their love would flourish anew or crumble under lingering doubts, only time would tell. For now, they moved forward hand in hand, determined to let honesty guide them through the storm they had once unleashed. The following morning dawned, heavy with tension as Kirk and Rasheeda arrived at a local courthouse. Cameras perched on every corner like vultures circling fresh prey. Whispers spread through the lobby. Are they here for custody talks? Is this public display part of damage control? Fans are shocked to see the usually private couple step into the fray of legal battles so soon. Emotions ran high as Kirk fumbled with his tie, fingers trembling. Rasheeda stood resolute beside him, chin lifted, yet her eyes betrayed a whirlwind of doubt. The family was left divided when Kirk's legal team released a statement claiming he simply wanted to establish formal visitation rights for his secret child, insisting no threat was intended toward Rasheeda's relationship with her own kids. Despite the carefully chosen words, though public sensed undercurrents of rivalry and power struggle beneath the polished veneer. Inside the courtroom, the air crackled with drama. Kirk's attorney began by outlining paternity confirmation, presenting lab results that placed conception months before Rasheeda's friends had speculated. Gasps echoed in the gallery when the judge mentioned conception dates that overlapped with Kirk's absence from home. Whispers cascaded through the room. He was gone on tour at that time. Did he travel to see her under the radar? Rasheeda pressed her lips together, heart pounding so loud she feared the judge could hear it. Kirk's lawyer pressed on, describing a private settlement proposal meant to shield the family from further scandal. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed at the mention of settlement, perceiving it as an attempt to purchase her silence. Amid the courtroom clash, a surprise witness emerged, the social media influencer who claimed to be the mother of Kirk's child. She took the stand in a modest blouse and jeans, voice steady as she described her shock upon learning stories of Kirk's secret double life. I never imagined my son's father would be one half of reality TV's golden couple, she said calmly. Her composure stunned everyone. Kirk's squad looked strained. Rasheeda's supporters cheered silently in her corner. When the influencer recounted a private message from Kirk promising to make things right, the courtroom fell silent, absorbing the weight of his words. Fans are shocked at the influencer's grace under pressure, praising her bravery and composure even as she stood against the man they admired. Outside, journalists huddled around Rasheeda's sister, who broke her silence for the first time since the scandal. Her voice trembled with anger as she described the family's heartbreak. We loved Kirk like a son, and he repaid us with deception. Cameras blazed when she accused Kirk of manipulating everyone to preserve his brand. The family was left divided by her words. Some siblings nodded in agreement. Others shook their heads defensively at the thought of airing private grievances. Emotions ran high as lines were drawn in the sand. Loyalties fractured along fault lines nobody saw until now. Social media exploded with fan-made polls asking, "Whose side are you on?" The binary choices felt inadequate for such complicated betrayal. Meanwhile, inside the influencer's tiny apartment, Kirk visited privately for the first time since paternity tests confirmed his fatherhood. He entered with a bouquet of wildflowers, voice soft. "I'm sorry I hid this from you." She looked up from a pile of baby toys, eyes wary but curious. "Why now?" she asked. Kirk took a shaky breath, admitting fear of judgment from his powerful wife and the potential ripple effects on his career. She listened without interrupting, then offered him tea. Each poured cup felt like a step toward uneasy understanding. Kirk watched her cradle their infant son, marveling at the child's innocence. The scene was a stark reminder of the cost of his secrets, a baby born into controversy, a mother thrust into unwanted fame, and a once happy husband and wife torn apart. Fans are shocked by Kirk's humility in that moment, a sharp contrast to the arrogance he showed in public statements back at home. Rasheeda oscillated between anger and longing. Tucked into her dressing gown, she scrolled through forums where supporters debated whether she should reconcile or walk away forever. Some comments urged her to seize a PR victory. Others warned her that forgiveness might only open the door to future betrayals. Tears streaked down her cheeks as she typed. In a private chat, "How do you rebuild a foundation shattered by lies?" A friend replied with a simple reminder: "Truth is the mortar that must hold you." Rasheeda closed her eyes, letting those words sink in. Every fragment of trust felt fragile, yet the idea of rebuilding offered a flicker of hope. Suddenly, another bombshell dropped. An anonymous source leaked a voice memo of Kirk planning a late-night rendezvous with the influencer at a remote villa. The audio, grainy but unmistakable, played his voice. "We have to keep our story straight. Rasheeda can't know until after the holidays." The leak sent shockwaves through gossip blogs. Fans are shocked by the callous tone, accusing Kirk of treating everyone like chess pieces. Emotions ran high as viewers replayed the memo, dissecting his intonation for remorse, lust, or indifference. The family was left divided anew, with some insisting Rasheeda should use this evidence to walk away. Others arguing for confrontation and public accountability. In response, Kirk held a surprise press conference outside the influencer's lawyer's office, flanked by legal counsel and the influencer herself. He began without prepared remarks. "I failed as a partner, and I failed as a man. I own those mistakes." Rasheeda watched the live stream from her car, heart pounding so fiercely she felt her chest might burst. Kirk continued, promising to attend every therapy session she requested, to co-parent responsibly, and to step back from public life if that's what she needed. As he spoke, tears mingled with sweat on his face, revealing a raw vulnerability unseen in any previous appearance. Fans are shocked by the authenticity of his confession. Some moved to sympathy, others cynical that this was another orchestrated maneuver. That evening, Rasheeda returned home for the first time since the scandal's eruption. The foyer welcomed her with warmth and silence. Kirk waited, standing beneath the crystal chandelier that once glowed with promise. He removed his shoes quietly, approaching her with a single candle. "I'm here," he said, voice trembling. Rasheeda surveyed the scene, the flickering flame, the tender gesture, and the man who had inflicted so much pain. She allowed herself to step forward, but kept distance. Kirk's hand hovered, uncertain if she would accept the invitation. Their eyes met, heavy with history. In that moment, neither spoke. The weight of past decisions pressed on them like a physical force. Tears surfaced as Rasheeda exhaled, trembling. Kirk's face softened, and he took a slow step closer. Outside, the moonlight streamed through stained glass windows, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the floor. The silence held both the promise of reconciliation and the threat of fresh heartbreak. Fans are shocked by the intimacy of that moment, witnessing the vulnerability of two titans of reality. Drama as they grappled with whether love could outlast betrayal. With the scent of melted wax and nostalgia in the air, Rasheeda finally whispered, "Show me you mean it." Kirk nodded, voice barely audible. "I will." And in that shared breath, amid the ruins of trust and the echoes of public scrutiny, they stood at the threshold of their next chapter, uncertain, fragile, but undeniably alive. As dawn broke, Kirk and Rasheeda found themselves side by side. On the veranda, the air still tinged with candle smoke from last night's fragile reconciliation. Birds chirped tentatively, as if unsure whether to celebrate the couple's unity. Rasheeda wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, fingers tracing the woven patterns as she gathered her thoughts. Kirk leaned against the railing, eyes fixed on the horizon where sea and sky blurred, searching for a sign that their future held more than uncertainty in the soft morning light. Kirk spoke first, voice low and earnest. "I want to rebuild our life one honest step at a time." Rasheeda listened, folding and unfolding the blanket, contemplating the weight of his words. He outlined the small changes he intended to make: family dinners without distractions, weekly check-ins with no phones, individual therapy sessions to address the fears that had driven him into secrecy. Each promise felt like a brick added to a wall meant to protect their fragile trust. She nodded slowly, eyes distant. "I'm afraid," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Kirk turned, concern creasing his brow. He reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "I know," he replied, "but I'll carry that fear with you. You won't face it alone." The sincerity in his tone settled like warm water around her heart, easing the chill of betrayal. In that moment, the distance between them felt bridged by shared vulnerability. Inside, the house bore traces of their turmoil, half-packed suitcases in the guest room, evidence of Rasheeda's initial urge to flee. Silent toys scattered in the nursery, reminders of the life they still shared. Kirk straightened a photo on the mantel, showing their laughter on a tropical beach, as if willing the memory to remind them why they fought so hard. Rasheeda joined him, placing her hand over his. Their fingertips met, an unspoken agreement to fight for what remained. By midday, they sat down with their children around the kitchen table. Kirk cooked pancakes while Rasheeda set the table, each movement deliberate and heartfelt. Their children chatted about school projects and weekend plans, oblivious to the tremors that had shaken their world. Kirk glanced at Rasheeda, gratitude shining in his eyes for her willingness to return to this routine, to rebuild normalcy brick by brick. A gentle smile tugged at the corners of Rasheeda's lips. Simple harmony felt revolutionary after weeks of chaos. Later, Kirk and Rasheeda attended a joint interview with a trusted journalist, determined to control the narrative together. They sat on a cozy settee in a small studio, hands clasped in the center between them. Kirk spoke candidly about his mistakes, Rasheeda interjecting with her perspective on resilience and the importance of transparency. Fans listened to a side of their story they had never heard: confessions delivered not by scripted statements, but by two people committed to healing. As the interview aired, social media buzzed with reactions. Some viewers praised their honesty, others reserved judgment, but nearly all agreed this chapter felt different. Less spectacle, more sincerity. In the following weeks, Kirk embraced fatherhood in a new light. He gingerly cradled his newborn son during late-night feedings, whispering apologies and promises into the infant's ear. The tiny face, so trusting and innocent, reminded him daily of his responsibilities. Rasheeda watched from the doorway, a mix of affection and wariness in her gaze. She realized that forgiveness didn't erase pain, but it allowed her to witness Kirk's efforts to become a better man for all his children. Outside pressures gradually eased as the story shifted from scandal to redemption. Late-night talk show. Hosts invited Kirk and Rasheeda to share what they had learned, framing their journey as a cautionary tale about the dangers of secrecy. Fans sent messages of support, recounting their own experiences of betrayal and forgiveness. The couple thanked everyone publicly but reserved private moments for honest reflection, aware that public opinion could shift again in an instant. Meanwhile, the influencer mother withdrew from the spotlight, focusing on her child's first milestones. Kirk ensured she received support for childcare and education, determined to shield his son from the media frenzy. Rasheeda approved of these efforts, seeing them as genuine steps toward repairing the damage. The three adults arranged periodic meetings, setting boundaries that respected everyone's needs while prioritizing the child's welfare. As summer deepened, Kirk surprised Rasheeda with a small family getaway to the mountains, a destination from their early dating days. They hiked winding trails with the children, free from phone signals and PR teams. At dusk, they gathered around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and exchanging childhood stories. Laughter echoed between the pines, soft as a lullaby. Rasheeda marveled at the joy returning to her family, each crackle of the fire reminding her of the warmth they once shared. One evening by the fire, Kirk pulled Rasheeda aside. The children played nearby, oblivious to the solemnity of the moment. Kirk knelt, heart pounding. "I know I can't undo the past," he said, "but I want to build a future no one can tear down." He presented a simple ring and heirloom from Rasheeda's grandmother. Tears welled in Rasheeda's eyes as she realized this gesture wasn't grandiose. It was rooted in family history and authenticity. She accepted it quietly, pressing it to her heart before slipping it onto her finger. Together, they watched the stars emerge, pinpricks of hope against the dark sky. In that silence, they felt something precious bloom, forgiveness tethered to love. The night air carried their shared breath. It's a testament to resilience in the aftermath of betrayal back home. The seasons changed, and with them, the contours of the Frost family story. Kirk and Rasheeda settled into new rhythms, co-parenting with compassion, scheduling date nights, and holding transparent conversations about their feelings. Therapy remained a cornerstone, a safe harbor where they could unearth hidden fears and rebuild trust. Challenges still surfaced, moments of doubt, resurfacing rumors, but they faced each one hand in hand. Fortified by the lessons of their ordeal, fans tuned in to witness this evolution, often sending notes of admiration for the couple's willingness to share both pain and progress. Kirk and Rasheeda occasionally responded with candid video updates, showing mundane yet meaningful moments, tutoring sessions with their children, volunteer work at the local community center, or lazy Sunday mornings spent reading together. These glimpses into normal life resonated more deeply than any sensational headline. As the year drew to a close, Rasheeda reflected on the journey that had reshaped her world. Betrayal had fractured her life, but courage had guided her back toward love. She realized that healing was not a destination, but a continuous act of choosing truth, kindness, and understanding. Kirk stood beside her, no longer the man who hid in shadows, but one who faced the sunlight, accountable and hopeful. And so, as the Frost family stepped into the new year, they carried scars that reminded them of their past and promises that beckoned them toward the future. Their story, once defined by scandal, had transformed into a narrative of redemption, a testament to the power of honesty and the resilience of love. Fans watched with bated breath, eager for the next chapter, yet inspired by the one they had witnessed unfold. Two souls who dared to pick each other when it mattered most. As the curtains close on this explosive chapter, one thing is clear: the Frost family's world will never be the same. Kirk's hidden life shattered the illusion of perfection, and Rasheeda's raw confrontation proved that even the strongest bonds can crack under secrets. The echoes of betrayal still linger in every corner of their shared history, and the fallout continues to ripple through friends, fans, and family alike. Yet amid the wreckage, flickers of hope emerge. Kirk's determination to rebuild with honesty, Rasheeda's courage to demand the truth, and the newborn life at the heart of this saga remind us that redemption is possible, but never guaranteed. Will trust fully return to the halls once filled with laughter? Can transparency heal wounds carved by lies? These questions remain hanging, as delicate as the promise of dawn after a long